Nästa talare, han har ägnat hela sitt yrkesliv åt att dra nytta av AI. Och sen ett år tillbaks så är han Enterprise Account Executive på Databricks. Välkommen Masoud Panshiri.
Hör ni mig bra? Okej, perfekt. Först och främst tack för att Databricks får vara här och presentera. Nummer 2, jag tror det var 2 frågor till Databricks från föregående talare. Det första var Databricks var kanske lite för tekniskt när vi valde. Det är sant, Databricks är menat för data engineering, big data, så vi håller på att jobba på det, att göra plattformen mer användarvänligt. Jag kan snacka med de som är intresserade på mingelsen och förklara vad vi gör inom dayspacet. Men just nu är den feedbacken att Databricks är väldigt, väldigt teknisk. Nummer 2 var någon som skrev så slappna av, du behöver inte hålla koll på vad alla gör. Databricks, Snowflake, det innoverar så snabbt. Mitt svar på det är att jag som anställd, alltså vi som anställda hänger inte ens med, så varför ska ni som kund hänga med? Så, där är 2 svaren då som vi fick där på avtalarna. Lite snabbt. Jag frågade Gustav om det är okej att köra på engelska, för att jag kan det här talktracket på engelska, jag förbereder det som det också. Jag kan köra Swinglish också, men då kommer ni få en mix av Tony Irving och Victoria Silvstedt, och jag tror inte liksom att ni vill ha det. Så jag kör på engelska. All right, so my presentation will be about preparing for an agentic AI first architecture. It will not be very technical. It's more about like what I'm seeing with my customers, what we are seeing at Databricks as a company, and how you should think about this whole thing. Because whether you like it or not, I listened to a talk yesterday by Jeff Bezos, who said that it's bigger than the internet boom, he said. And whether you like it, my prediction is, and whoever predicts is completely crazy, but I think in 5 to 7 years' time, every company needs to deal with this. So, but I think the foundation already starts today. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So preparing for an agentic AI first architecture. So the first thing is like, what is agentic AI? So agentic AI is intelligence system that operate as autonomous agents. They are capable of setting goals, making decisions, taking action, adapting based on feedback, and most important of all, with no to minimal human intervention, right? That is the definition of agentic AI. So I asked ChatGPT OpenAI, like, hey, could you please draw this definition? And the way it drew it for me, it said like, okay, this is not a real human, this is an autonomous agent. He or she can reason and plan. So what should I do next? What should I do after that? It can reason and plan, so no human intervention needed. It needs to have access to your computer's terminal access, so it can start workflows, it can build stuff, it can reason with that as well. It needs a lot of memory, because it needs to take in context, right, to start reasoning and understanding what's going on. How does this company work? What is the jargon here, the culture, and so on? And then it needs computer vision, right? So it has access to the internet. It needs to go to YouTube, play a video to learn from it. So for that, it needs computer vision in order to take actions. So that's basically agentic AI. And just to make that a little bit more clear, agentic AI versus non-agentic AI. So can learn from experiences and adapt to changing situations, processes decision-making capabilities, can set up and pursue its own goals, and operates with high-level autonomy. So basically, you can think of it that autonomous agents or agentic AI has a start and an end. So it's not like I'm running this machine learning model, random forest, and then if that doesn't work, apply AutoML. So you predefine how it should think. That is what you do with non-agentic AI, right? Like Microsoft Copilot, or we have something called Genie or ChatGPT. It's predefined. So follow strict rules and predefined patterns. Cannot make any independent decisions, right? So you can tell you, I think this customer will churn, but it will not take a decision to send a newsletter to take them back. You as a human need to take that decision, right? So they cannot make decisions. Can only execute specific tasks based on user input and relies on manual instructions. And as I said, every industry needs to prepare for it. I will send my slides to Random Forest due to time. You can look at all of these use cases. I will not run all through of them. But for me, the one that is closest to my heart is like, this is all about making money. This is pretty cool, right? So coordinates patient care by analyzing records, monitoring outcomes, and adapting treatment plans in real time. That is like a true autonomous agent that can act on behalf of this patient, right? So I come in this diagnosis. It can read the whole internet that a doctor cannot do. It can look at peer review research. It can take decisions and say, hey, you should go off this medicine, you should do this, you should try this. Fully autonomous. And we will get there. So that's why I said like we need to prepare for it. So while this is super cool, we have entered something called the era of AI whitewashing. So what is the era of whitewashing? So there was this report by MIT, July 2025, where they looked at a lot of companies and found out that 95% of organizations are getting zero return from Gen AI. The outcomes are divided between buyers, enterprises, mid-sized companies, small and medium, and builders like startup vendors, consultancies. It's so stark that they call this report the Gen AI divide. You can read about it. I have linked it. It's super interesting, but I have summarized it for you. So the summary of that report is that companies are rebranding workflow automation as agent AI or agentic AI. So it's basically workflows, and whoever puts it on their website, now it's agentic AI, now it's this. It's really not. Another thing for decision maker is that fear of missing out drive decision making. So basically, as leaders, as a company, you have responsibilities towards your employees, to your suppliers, towards your customers. If you don't follow this trend, they will be like, you're not so very innovative, right? So the fear of missing out drives these decisions. And often it's before the technology or infrastructure is really fully ready. So the IT can say, hey, we have data silos, as a lot of presenters presented. We are not really there yet, but make something. We need to get out with a message, right? That we are an innovative company. And the other thing is that this report found out that startups cannot compete with the scale, infrastructure, or talent concentration of OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Anthropic, and Meta. Like, it's not possible, and I'm going to show why. And many agentic startups are just wrappers around foundation models. Please note the word many, right? So it's not all of them. There are super cool startups out there, lovable, I love them. So many agentic startups are just wrappers around foundation models. It basically means that they take the foundation models of Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, they make a UI out of it and say, press this button, press button, now it's our tool. This is what it means, like it's just wrapped up around foundation models. It's pretty funny if you follow this. There's like these funny things, like today it came out that Deloitte, I don't know who read it, but they have to pay back the Australian government money because they used ChatGPT in a report that costed them 440,000. This is humoristic, we can laugh about it. But I think there is some more, so I'm on camera, what should I say? I'm going to be here for the mingle. I can take a beer and share my real opinions, but there's some other side of it as well, right? So this is the other side of it, the era of whitewashing. So we have Salesforce who says, I have cut 4,000 in customer support loss because the benefit efficiencies of Agentforce. Like, imagine that you're paying with somebody's livelihood in order to put forward your product. I think, again, we can talk later. And it's easy to throw the rocks at US and say, US companies. We are doing the same in Sweden. Here's Sebastian. August 27, 2024. I'm reducing 700 jobs because I see a reduction when it comes to implementing AI. Why? Because we are preparing for an IPO and we need to be really cool. 1 year ago. 1 year after, he was on this CNBC and said, we might have gone too far using the technology to cut costs at the expense of service and product improvements. Relying too heavily on AI has resulted in poor customer service and failing satisfaction levels, and now we are rehiring people again, right? So the era of AI whitewashing. Now there's some engineers here, you might say like, look, you don't know what you're talking about, and I can understand that because it's pretty complex topics, but if you ask me, this is what you're seeing on the LinkedIn and all of that, but the actual state of AI is this. So if you're a software engineer in OpenAI, you're making around 6 million, 7 million crowns per year. If you're a research engineer at Anthropic, you're making roughly 10 million Swedish crowns up to 12 million Swedish crowns, right? Here are some other things. AI researchers are negotiating 250 million packages, just like MBA stars. So a question like Alexander Isak, he's the most expensive player in Premier League history, the English football. Who thinks that he was more expensive than 250 million? Raise your hands. Does anybody know Victor Gyökeres? He went to my team, Arsenal. If you combine the Isak transfer, which is the most expensive one in Premier League, and Gyökeres, you're still 50 million shorts. Yeah, that's what we are talking about. Here's another one. Meta hired a former Apple engineer with a 200 million pay package. So that's why this report found, like, we cannot compete with these ones. They are the big ones. Like, these are complex problems. Agentic AI, it basically means that Monday you're coming in and we are saying, we are welcoming Ricard, Masoud, and so on. And by the way, an autonomous agent as well, take care of him or her. Like, that will be the future. And it's complex problems, right? These autonomous agents. So that's, for me, the actual state of it. All right. So we talked about that. We talked about where we are. And that's a little bit the Databricks pitch. So we believe that every company wants to be a data and AI company. But finding success at scale is difficult for most organizations. Why? And I think most speakers before me already captured that, is because it's a complexity of nightmare with high cost and proprietary formats. You're locked in there, you're locked in here, you're locked in here. And with this new one, which you're looking at HR, finance, you're bringing in Copilot, ChatGPT, our tool, Genie, and so on. Once you start looking into it a little bit more, when you're finding a new data platform, you realize that, wait a minute, it's much worse than I thought initially. Like, all of these different departments and people have created their own tools, in Swedish Kuggete, in Swedish Shadow IT, that the problem is much bigger than it is. And on top of that, some people talked about Data Act, the EU AI Act. So you have governance, right? You need to govern. That is super specific for us in EU. So they say, from the moment the data was born until somebody did something productive about it, you really need to show the lineage of it, from birth until somebody took a decision. And they will make an audit on your companies, right? And with these models where you're just throwing it as a black box and outputting something, that's why with my customers, and I hope it's the same with you guys, they have not adopted it because 90% of the time goes into security. And they say, like, I'm not sending any data to Gemini or Cloud at this moment. But I think they will solve this issue. So with that said, data fragmented, you have governance layer. So we have this thing called the Lakehouse platform. So we believe at Databricks that you should own your data, right? Because you don't know what happens tomorrow, in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time. So our advice is, don't choose Databricks, but at least use open formats. Own your own data. Don't lock yourself in. Because in 2025, when your company needs to do the agentic AI, if there's a vendor that says like, oh, we're not releasing the data, so the HR data will not talk to the finance data will not talk to this data, then you don't have agentic AI. The Snowflake colleague presented that. If you really want to make agentic systems, you need to throw out a lot of data, finance, logistics, supply. That's how it can reason about it. So our advice at Databricks is that don't lock in. So we can read in all structured data and unstructured data in open formats called Delta Lake. And then we have on top of that Unity Catalog and then all of the cool stuff. So this Lakehouse platform architecture, when it comes to Gartner, Data Science and Machine Learning, when was it? April 2025, here, just a couple of months ago, they voted Databricks as the leader in that quadrant. When it comes to the Lakehouse architecture, and the funny thing is that we are also the founders of Lakehouse, not me, the guys in San Francisco, they are also the pioneers and the founders of Lakehouse. And there's this category in Forrester Wave, in Gartner, and here, October 2024. So in 1 month, they will release another one, but the previous one that was published, Databricks is the leader in the data Lakehouse platform as well. Why? If you read both of these reports, they will just say this thing, open formats, open formats. Super key. So when you go to our website, you will not see Lakehouse anymore. We are trying to establish a new thing called Data Intelligence Platform. So when you talk to Databricks, we will not talk about Lakehouse anymore. We are trying to establish a new category like we did with the Lakehouse. And that is basically this whole AI thing and so on. And I think the most important thing is unified data and governance and AI tuned to your business. Because with this report, what they also found is that a lot of companies see this AI, Gen AI, agentic AI as software development, but it's really not software development. It's data governance infrastructure first, then software development. So we at Databricks, we have this unified data governance called Unity Catalog. And this is the only technical slide I have. So we have data governance to all unified things. So anything from security, collaboration, quality, insights. So if you want to do quality of monitoring of your data, somebody talked about like how do you work with data quality, open data sharing and so on. And most traditional organizations, as we found out, is like they only do access control and auditing, but the Unity catalog is the unified catalog for data governance. And this one explains it a little bit better, right? So it's unified for all your data and AI assets, right? So if you want to start with agentic AI and your data is already in Databricks, you don't have to think about the data governance layer. It's already there, right? Open to any tool or engine for a broad ecosystem of interoperability and sharing. So that's our key thing. Don't lock yourself in. Be the owner of your own data. Use open standards. And then powers data intelligence, which is like a little bit more about the platform itself. I will not go into it. So that's a little bit about Databricks, right? So open formats, unified governance, but now we're talking about how to prepare for agentic AI first architecture, right? And this is what I talked about, right? Like have open formats, be flexible, adapt in the market, and so on. Lastly, I will just finish off with this. So how we are preparing our customers for agentic AI first architecture. So December 2024, we took in 15 billion in investment. And 1 month ago, we took in another billion in investment. So what are they doing with all this money? Like, I don't think they're going with Lamborghinis and Porsches in San Francisco. They're actually putting into use for our customers. So there's no timeline behind this, but in 2025, we bought a company called Neon, which is a Postgres SQL startup. So with agentic AI first, you need to have a lot of transactions and you need to have a database in order to handle that. So we bought that. We're calling it Lakebase. We also released Databricks Agent Brink, which is our own framework for data governance. And I can explain it. It's a little bit technical, but it's like we take care of the pre-training and governance. You just concentrate on the models, if anybody's interested. In August 2025, we opened up our Vancouver R&D center, so research and development, and their pure job will be agentic AI research, nothing else. That's all they will do. And then we invested in September, 1 month ago, 250 million in India to have better support for our customers because these are tough topics. And we just launched in October data intelligence for cybersecurity. So if you have a lake-based architecture with agentic AI, it makes a lot of sense to also release a cybersecurity one, right? Because you can have agentic AI systems that reasons about fraud detection, what to do with them, mitigate risk, and so on. So not have humans in the loop. Super interesting as well. And then in terms of a partnership, what we are doing for our customers is that we just signed a 5-year partnership with Anthropic. So basically what this partnership means is that if you're using Databricks, you're not limited to one vendor. You have all of these big ones natively. So what they are saying is like, okay, Databricks, you're good at open data formats and the data governance, but we are the best because we are hiring these rockstar researchers for 250 million, so you can do your model training with us. So we signed a 5-year partnership with Anthropic. We extended Azure Databricks with Microsoft, I think to 2035. We just signed last month a $100 million deal with ChatGPT to bring ChatGPT 5 to our enterprise customers so they can start leveraging it. Meta invested in Databricks in February. And since we know that most critical company data is in SAP, we also formed a partnership with SAP called SAP Databricks in order to take those really, really important company data, bring it in so that you can start using it for agentic AI. I don't have much time now, so I will not go into it, but I heard a lot of colleagues saying like, oh, we chose Databricks, Snowflake, and Microsoft. What we are saying from our side is like, you don't have to choose between us. And I think this slide shows it really well, right? So you have the governance layer, but you have Azure Data Lake Storage, you have Purview, you have Entra ID. So we want to go with the better together story. That's why we have the partnership. You don't have to choose between Databricks or Microsoft. That's why we are called Azure Databricks on Microsoft products. Last not least, if you really find this interesting and want to know more where Databricks is going and what's happening, on November 11th, Sam Altman and Ali Ghodsi, our CEO and founder, will have a conversation with him about how to build agents that work for the future. Then I forgot my summary slide. 1 minute, Gustav? Yeah. So this is my summary because we covered a lot, right? So what's cutting edge technology today becomes the default tomorrow. So I'm seeing a lot of customers, not a lot of customers, but some customers are like, okay, I'm going to develop this. Only 6 months later to just drop it because something cool came out, right? Like, for example, you have Windsurfer. Now there's no company called Windsurfer because Meta bought all of their executives. It was the hypest more thing. Another thing was DeepSeek. Oh, we need to do DeepSeek. Have you heard about DeepSeek in the last couple of months? No. So what we are saying is that company roadmaps cannot compete. So you just need to prepare your architecture for the future. Now the time is going. The winners will be the ones preparing the architecture for what's coming next, not just today's tool. So if you're like, I need to bring my HR this tool so they can talk to the data, I need to do that. What will happen is that you will just bring a lot of business to us and Snowflake because you need to migrate off these platforms 3 and 4 years time. That's what will happen. So just not today's tool, but also for the future. Think about that. Consolidate data into open, avoid vendor lock-in, and enable flexibility as models evolve, right? Because we don't know who's going to win this. Everybody's claiming that they're winning this. But in the future, we will know who will win this. And the ones that are winning, be as flexible and open with your data so that you can leverage them. We hope it's Databricks, but if it's not, at least you have prepared yourself with open data. And keep business logic. This is the last thing. I think, Gustav, I can keep it because I think there will be a question around it, but like I wanted to bring like what's happening right now with my customers, because there's this thing about language to SQL. And in order to get good results, you need to build the semantic layer. And I have a lot of customers that are building the semantic layer in app level, in the app layer. But what happens is that we are telling them, please build it in the data platform level, right? Because if you're defining a KPI like churn in the app level, and that suddenly that meaning for the KPI changes, you need to change the app, the data platform, this app, this app, this app, this app. But if you have it in the data platform, if that KPI changes, you just change it in the data platform and push that update to the app level. I know it's super biased because I'm working at Databricks, but at least I just want to show like, please keep the business logic where the data is, not at the app level. Because what you're doing is that you're locking yourself in and you will have to migrate from it as the models evolve. That's basically what I'm saying. Then if it's Databricks or Snowflake, doesn't really matter. All right, that was it.
Mycket. Har vi några frågor till Masoud? Nej, Fredrik har en fråga.
Ja, en fråga. Fantastiskt att det är som konkurrens mellan Databricks, Snowflake och Fabric. Det gör ju alla bättre.
Jag brukar säga att om inte det fanns den konkurrensen, då skulle AI vara som SJ. Ingenting fungerar.
Men utifrån det här med man reder väldigt mycket frågor när man bygger de här plattformarna i form av arkitektur, och det är mängder av frågor. Och då går man till sin konsultpartner kanske, man kollar på nätet, man försöker att få svar på de här frågorna. Och sett till att ni ändå är ganska utvecklingsdrivna, så brukar det finnas communities. Exempelvis då så vad gäller Fabric så finns det ett väldigt levande community på Reddit. Jag tycker det är fantastiskt värdefullt att följa det, för de diskuterar alla de här grejerna, man får väldigt mycket bra tips. Finns det något liknande för Databricks? Vart finns det communityt?
På Reddit. Det är jag såg någon artikel av någon sån här champion som skrev att han hade kollat på mest comments, likes, svar, topics created mellan Microsoft, Snowflake, Databricks och Databricks var den mest. Men han är Databricks champion, så han kan ju liksom, jag har inte kollat den datan, men jag har inte bättre svar än att liksom, det är väldigt vibrant community. För att just när det är open source, community catalog eller Delta Lake, då säger vi liksom snälla var med och bidra till utveckling av den, och därför liksom skapades det väldigt mycket. Så jag har ju massa kunder som inte använder data warehousing, Mosaic AI, alltså de här coola grejerna, utan de kör ju bara Delta Lake som är open source, som har ingenting med Databricks att göra. Men vad vi tror är så här, kanske om 3 år det blir kund. Vem vet liksom.
Ja, tack.
Ja.
Har vi några mer frågor? Någon som har någonting? Jag har en. Ja. När du är ute och pratar om de här AI-agenterna hos olika organisationer, vad är liksom de vanligaste frågorna du får tillbaka?
De vanligaste frågorna jag får tillbaka är att de har så stora förhoppningar, och sen så kommer de tillbaka bara så men de har OpenAI, Claude, de här stödjer inte svenska än för enterprises. Och sen stoppar man projektet och väntar på att svenska modeller ska komma till exempel. Så sådana grejer. Och sen andra grejer är att har vi till exempel kunder som har låg byråkrati, inte så liksom sensitive data, då kan de ta ett beslut snabbt och de är okej med att modellerna är inte liksom där, och de är okej med att liksom det inte funkar. Men har vi kunder som är mer så public eller finance, som jag sa innan, liksom, om vi planerar 6 månader för en agentic AI use case, 7,5 månader i security review. Vad händer med min data? Vad gör de Claude? Så det är mycket sånt där. Det är, alltså man tror att man är mycket så här, göra coola use cases, sådana grejer. Alltså vi är inte där, för att vi är liksom styrda av EU AI Act, Data Act, sådana grejer. Så att Europa är lite mer försiktigt, vilket jag älskar. Liksom. Jag tycker det är helt fantastiskt.
Om man säger då, 95% den här rapporten, 95% kommer inte nå sina mål och sådär. Finns det någonstans en easy win här om man ska börja utnyttja tekniken?
Jag tror easy win är det här med att göra folk bekväma att det kommer inte ersätta det med en agent. Det är inte det som är tanken. Tanken är att när du gör de här repetitiva grejerna som inte en människa ska göra, till exempel översätta eller någonting. Vi kan hjälpa dig med de här olika modellerna som har kommit till de här nya teknologierna. Så jag tror liksom en grej som jag ser många göra är att man låter, till exempel man skriver i Teams att man kan prata med sin data, language to SQL och sådana grejer. Men jag tror liksom de företagen som verkligen lyckas när människor ser liksom att det här blir bra. Det är de här som har definierat både datan, vad den ska göra. Så att det är en mix av olika grejer. Inte bara så här, prata med din data. Sen om outputen är fel, men det bryr vi oss inte. Du kunde prata med din data. Så att man verkligen tänker liksom, vad är det datan säger till dem? Kan han ta beslut på det?
Ja, men superbra. Jag ska också passa på där och höra vad det är du ska säga där efter när vi tar en öl. Väldigt fint. Vi kommer säkert bli fler som kommer stå här och hänga runt Masoud och höra liksom.
Ja, jag delar gärna privat. Tack.